Okay, let's get this over with. I am the academic. You know this because I hail from the University of Sydney, which is clearly visible because I am wearing the corporate colors, white, black, and ochre. You can see this from a mile away. What else do you need to know about me? The second is that I am an AI researcher, and you can tell that by the fact that we all wear glasses. The bigger the glasses, the bigger the nerd. But my job is also in meaning-making and preparations. I work with leaders, with executives, with board directors across Australia and across our region, not only making sense of the new thing, AI, but also of how it plays out in the bigger picture. And for that, in my job, I get to spend a lot of time sitting down with global CEOs, with Nobel Prize winners, with heads of state and head chefs, with Supreme Court judges and jugglers, asking them, how's the world changing, and what do people like you need to know next? And then I bring that to you. I can tell you we're all heading into a decade of disorientation. This will be the most disorienting time of your careers, but it's also likely to be the most impactful. There was one other thing I was supposed to say at the very beginning. Yes, English is clearly not my first language either, or my second, or my third. So if you can't understand what I'm saying, don't worry, I'm only on for about 8 minutes and 30 seconds, because after 15 years in Australia, this is really the best I can do. So that is pretty much what you need to know next. But instead of trying to rush through everything that you need to know next and make sense of this messy future, in the next 8 minutes and 12 seconds, I will be focusing on kind of one thing that's on everybody's mind here in the room, and that is, what do I need to know in the age of AI? I've been doing this research for quite a few years, and for the last couple of years, when we did the Skills Horizon, the thing that you needed to know is that you cannot fake it anymore. Speaking the language of tech, that is. You need to understand AI and be fluent in the technology to figure out how it applies to your work. This year, the conversation has changed a little bit, because this year, you need to make it work. You need to make it work for yourself, for your team, for your business, for your startup. So that means that you will need to play out this balancing act, because making it work is a balancing act. No matter what industry you're from, you will have to deal with two conflicting sides of the same AI story. It will be tense, there will be trade-offs. You will need to have to figure out how to strike a productive balance between these two sides. It will be dramatic, ladies and gentlemen. Because there are two sides to this AI story, and let me tell you about them. You will need to figure out how to manage the clash between efficiency and expertise. You've started hearing a little bit about that, but I'm here to tell you that the story is actually a little bit more complicated, because I know that if I look around the room, most of you, 90% of you, say, AI helps us, it saves us time. I'm sure it does so for me, and it does for everybody else in the room. I also know from research that about 66% at least will see an improve in productivity from using Gen AI tools. So we should be embracing this. It is making us more efficient. However, on the other hand, what if working faster also sometimes means less care? What if it means, and you've all met these people, we're calling them vibers, your coworkers who kind of mindlessly outsource tasks to AI without thinking through it, and then send you those long emails and things that you surely don't want to read. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to work slop. 40% of you have already encountered this work slop in your organization. What's more is that if we outsource, we offload work to AI without thinking about it, That comes with less brain activation. We know that 55% less brain activity that persists after you've stopped using AI. So think about what you're doing. Balance the efficiency with the need for expertise, because we know that this helps us. 25% faster task completion. We need to bring this efficiency into our organization. It's so good that 63% of executives will tell you that AI will take on entry-level tasks. But what happens if we hire less graduates, or if we develop less expertise in our creatives? What will this do to expertise in the long run? How will you manage this tension? Because make no mistake, you will face this fundamental tension between efficiency and expertise. On the one hand, AI promises efficiency gains, but if we're not careful, it can erode expertise if we let people just offload work and don't support them to develop that expertise. As I said, through my work, I get to talk to hundreds of global CEOs and lots of interesting people, and I brought you a few of these quotes today to try to illustrate what this looks like for leaders. This is Raphael Sank. He runs a very large creative agency in South America, and he was talking about the fact that senior talent is getting amplified and they're getting better and better at their work. On the other hand, some of the junior talent seem to be getting worse when offloading to AI. So how do we think about prompting? How do we think about creating context and developing expertise in young people on our teams and in our organizations? Or people like Rose Herzog, who runs WPP here in Australia and New Zealand, who said that we must learn, all of us, where that line is. What can we automate, and what should still be imagined by us humans? Or what we heard from a guy called Robert Thompson. He runs globally an organization. Maybe you have heard about it. It's called News Corp. And before that, he ran the Wall Street Journal and he ran the Financial Times. And when I spoke to him, he made it personal. This is not just about business models or efficiencies and so on. It's a form of existential challenge, especially for creatives, in how we perceive ourselves and the work that we do. How can we rethink who we are with AI by our side? Or people like Michael Sprenger. If you talk to someone who's from, and Sony by all means is a technology-first company. Michael runs Sony AI. And when I spoke to him, he said, make sure that you just don't just think about how you do AI to a thing. How do I make it faster, cheaper, less hours worked on it? But also think about how you can set up your organization to make use of AI. So how can we reorient to make use of things like artificial intelligence? And again, that is a people problem. That is not just a technology challenge. And make no mistake, you will also be wrong along the way. Every year I get to spend a bit of time with someone called Nicole Lamoureux. She's the chief people officer at a company called IBM. There's about 250,000 people who work there. She had this whole strategy about how we will use AI tools and so on, and took it to the executive and the board. And then the next year she came back and said, I was wrong. We try to see around every corner with AI, but we must constantly experiment. We must figure out what we're doing, and if we realize the path was wrong, we admit it and we pivot. We're all in this together, trying to figure it out. And probably one of my favorite quotes from last year, this is Meredith Whittaker. She runs an organization called Signal. You probably have the app on your phone, and if you get that invite from someone in the US government, pick it up. It's probably for real. This is also an opportunity to just slow down and fix things along the way, because AI also allows us to do that, and yet it demands that we move slowly and try to fix things along the way. Good message, by the way, from Meredith, as you step onto that tightrope walk and attempt to balance efficiency and expertise and make AI work. I know the age of AI sounds really, really challenging, but don't worry, finding your balance and making it work, it's not all that complicated and uncertain. I usually, by the way, get to solutions in about minute 11 and onwards, but they only gave me 10 minutes today, so I'm here to tell you that the future is bright. We're on a tight schedule today. I am a cheerful pessimist, so the future is bright-ish. Everything that you need to know, we make free every year. It's a report called the Skills Horizon. So everything that you need to know next is in there. Every wisdom and insight source from all of our conversation, of an analysis of the Harvard Business Review, of everything that's out there, best business books of the year, Davos, South by Southwest, you name it. Everything from from AI fluency to taste making in the age of AI is in our report. And also the solutions. What do you need to learn next? So let me finish this by saying, here's a QR code for the Skills Horizon. At the University of Sydney, we don't condone theft, but for this once, please, you can steal this, and you can steal our slides. So please stay balanced and keep learning and enjoy the rest of today. Thank you very much.